So as you know, I've been at school and I wasn't sure if I was going to have the free time to make videos or not. And it looks like so far I won't be able to do them while I'm there for a number of reasons. But I'm trying to think of a way to still put out something. Like, I don't do the scores anymore. I don't really send those out with just a number because I never really liked that system. But at the same time, the only thing I've been doing music related has been putting out a new song every day. Um, so I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to do to sort of give you guys some music to listen to. And yeah, since I haven't made a video or done really much since late June, I think that I'll do what I did earlier this year, where I take the list of interesting things I've heard this year and I just burn through it, hopefully in under 10 minutes, and try to give you guys something to check out or listen to or give my opinion or whatever. So let's get that started. Yeah, and for the sake of this thing not lasting 20 plus minutes, just like last time, I'm not going to talk about everything I've heard this year, but I'll include stuff that you guys would find relevant or interesting. So let's start with the end of June, which is where I left off. The Ab-Soul album These Days came out, and I say Ab-Soul went for a more mainstream approach here. Some really southern, maybe trapped influenced tracks, and while I don't want to say it didn't work for him because it's Ab-Soul and he's going to do a good job on pretty much anything he touches, I feel like he definitely sacrificed some of his personality and he wasn't able to be as creative on his songs as he usually was. I really couldn't tell that it was Ab-Soul on some of these tracks because they were so dull and bland. From the month of July, I only have 2 records to really talk about that much. Not a lot happened, in my opinion. Lese's Majesty, the new Shabazz Palaces album. Shabazz Palace is an experimental hip-hop group. I really like their last release, so I chucked this out. And to me, the songs just don't seem fully developed as I was accustomed to from Shabazz Palaces. There's lots of snippets, it seems like, and lots of songs that don't reach their full potential because they are cut so short for whatever time. It's still an enjoyable record, especially if you do like experimental hip-hop, weird beats, interesting grooves, but this is nowhere near Black Up, if you're asking me. And then, of course, the new Common record, Nobody's Smiling. Common, the Chicago rapper. I don't have too much to say about this album, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I just don't feel like there's too much for me to go into here. Common talks about some serious content matter, which is typical of him and his previous works, and he always does it. He just does a good job with it, just a good album from Common. On to August, Susanna and Jenny Hval, 2 Norwegian singers/songwriters. They're Scandinavian, so they automatically get some props from me. And they released a very, very nice, I don't even know what genre to call this. I guess it's some sort of gothic pop record, singing, I don't know, it's weird, but I like it. They have these very light, angelic, and airy voices, and they mesh well together, which is appropriate for a record titled Meshes of Voice. And to contrast this, the record puts out some really dark and ambient sounds to go well with the really crystal clear, pretty voices of these 2 singers. A very, very good album, and it will probably find its way into my top 10 later this year. The new Underachievers album. Underachievers are a rap supergroup, somewhat underground, and they released some tapes that I've really enjoyed so far. This one was not an exception. I wouldn't say it was up to the caliber of their previous works, but for a bunch of hard-hitting, just solid all-around rap group tracks, you're probably going to want to check this out. Drake's so-called R&B protege, PartyNextDoor, released his album PartyNextDoor Two, and I really don't know why Drake invests anything into this dude. His signature is pretty much pouring reverb onto tracks until they become soggy. Nothing too interesting about his music, his voice. Just lots of boring tracks. I guess they're good as background music, but I really can't see anyone paying attention to this and finding it even remotely interesting. The British singer/pop/electro-pop artist FKA Twigs, formerly known as Twigs, released her LP1, and oh yeah, I'm really liking it. Oh yeah. She just has a knack for creating these really cool, huge soundscapes, and she has this really crystal clear and sharp voice to accentuate them. Songs like 2 Weeks and Pendulum are among my favorite of this year. They all have this really smooth, sensual feel to them despite being so sonically vivid. Good job, FKA Twigs. The new alternative record from Spoon, They Want My Soul. Lots of mellow and gentle vibes from this record. It's enjoyable all throughout. Not too much to say about it. Check it out. Finally, Mick Jenkins, The Waters. Mick Jenkins is a Chicago rapper. He's been labeled Chicago's Kendrick Lamar, and I think he took that label a little too seriously for the sake of this record, because a lot of the themes on The Waters are the same that you can find on A Good Kid, Mad City. Now, that's not to say this is a bad record at all. In fact, I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's sort of the same old, and it's not anything that's going to change the game because we have already heard it before. But I'm definitely interested in what this guy does next, because he does flash a lot of potential on The Waters. Electronic artist Aphex Twin came back from a pretty lengthy hiatus to release Syro. And while I did like the set of electronic tracks he has put together, they just do get repetitive after a certain extent. Not enough versatility here to keep it from getting boring towards the end of a relatively long record. And while we're talking about electronic, I'll talk about the new Vessel record, Punish Honey. Vessel is an English producer who made his way into my top 10 in 2012 with his previous album. And again, he puts out another solid record. Don't think it was as good as the first one, but some interesting sounds as usual from Vessel. Pretty enjoyable if you're just in a ambient / just sonic music. I'd look into it. Swedish rapper Young Lean released Unknown Memory. If you don't know who Young Lean is, he's basically a living embodiment of an internet meme. And unfortunately, it doesn't translate well into his music. This is something else from him I have not enjoyed. He just has no flavor to me. It's just a bunch of boring tracks piled on top of each other. I'm sorry, Young Lean. I know you're from Sweden, but I couldn't give you credit for this one. And finally, Perfume Genius released his record, Too Bright. Perfume Genius being a singer who works with the piano, and this record was just very gentle, melodic, beautiful, great singing. I really, really like this thing. Not too much to say about it because I find it to be pretty straightforward. Just really light, airy, beautiful piano pieces. A few darker ones here and there. Check it out. In the month of October, Foxygen released their album And Star Power. Foxygen is a psychedelic rock / psychedelic folk group that I've enjoyed in the past. However, they just seem to have forgotten how to make good music on their newest album. I don't know what happened here, just lots of flaws in the songwriting, boring topics, boring guitar work. Foxygen just fell flat on this one. I don't know what to say. Weezer, the alternative rock group, is still around. They're notorious for a couple great albums and a handful of terrible ones, and I think this one falls about right in the middle. Nothing too terrible from Weezer. They seem to have fixed some of their themes and topical issues that they've had on previous albums that made them so dreadful, but at the same time, this isn't the best music you're going to find out there, but if you do like Weezer or groups similar to it, I would recommend it. You'll probably like this. The new Iceage album, Plowing into the Field of Love. Iceage is a Danish punk / post-rock band, and they released an album last year I thought was pretty decent, but I did not see them improving this much in the span of a single year. The vocals here are much more diverse, and the lead singer just has the perfect voice for making such melancholy and such downtrodden music. The instrumental part has just been taken to a whole new level. They've added horns and other brass, and the guitars seem to be much more spacey, which makes for just much more epic songs. Just really, really solid tracks from beginning to finish. Songs like On My Fingers and Forever are some of the best from 2014 so far. And another thing on Iceage's plate is how they are able to take slow songs this time around and add them into the mix instead of just the hard-hitting punk tracks. But even the slow songs add another level of depression onto this already pretty sad and gloomy music. So a very, very great album from the Iceage group. The new Flying Lotus album, You're Dead. Flying Lotus is a producer from Los Angeles who specializes in instrumentals, more specifically hip-hop instrumentals, I suppose. And if you know who he is, you know what you're going to get. And once again, he does not disappoint. I've never been let down by one of his records. Really jazzy instrumentals per usual, the norm, really spacey, ethereal beats. I'm loving everything on this. Another great thing from Flying Lotus. And while I'm here, I'll go over the few November releases I've heard so far. Run the Jewels is back with Run the Jewels 2. Run the Jewels is a hip-hop duo I gave a little bit of a shout-out to last year with a really brief video. And they're back, composed of LP from New York, Killer Mike from Atlanta, Georgia, King of the South. Two of the best underground hip-hop artists right now, and they have been that for quite some time. These guys, once again, combine perfectly for a record that I think is better than the first Run the Jewels one. Just really violent, aggressive tracks, fast-paced. Some of these songs sound like they're from like an action movie. That's how I imagine LP and Killer Mike over the course of this record. And these guys have developed an even better chemistry over the past year, it seems, because they're doing such a good job bouncing off of each other on these songs. One of the better records from the entire year, to be honest with you. Any rap fans, check out Run the Jewels too. Speaking of Southern hip-hop, Big K.R.I.T released Cadillactica. Big K.R.I.T is an artist from Mississippi. Don't quote me on it, but this dude released a bunch of great albums when he was becoming more and more popular, but his commercial releases lately just haven't done it for me. And I feel the same about Cadillactica. I feel like there were some really great tracks on here, but they're held down by these boring trap-ish, trap-themed songs that are just dominated by hooks and don't really progress at all. So unfortunately, I'm split on the new Big K.R.I.T record. If you do like Southern hip-hop, maybe even if you like trap, I would recommend it. Otherwise, it's up to you. Alright, I'm almost done boring you here. I'll talk about one more. The new record from rock legends, Pink Floyd. Of course, this material is not from the original group that created the great music that Pink Floyd is associated with. It's some of the original members, but not all of them. And most of this stuff is from the 70s/80s, I think. Most of it was recorded a long time ago. But still, it's nowhere near the caliber of some of Pink Floyd's early work. But I'm sure you could have guessed that. It's not bad for a long instrumental record with really sparse vocals strewn throughout here and there. But at the same time, you know, this is not the original Pink Floyd. So for me, it's just a miss. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got for you. Just give me some feedback. Was there anything that I missed in this video? Check out what I talked about. Let me know what you think about it. But yeah, that's all I have for you right now. I'm going to try to make more videos. I really am. It has not been convenient for me, I guess would be the thing to say. If I can't make videos because it is too much of a hassle, I might bring back just rating things with numbers, which I really don't like doing because it's just a number and it really doesn't have any significance behind it unless I kind of give my ideas. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't foresee myself being able to do these at school, which is a problem. But who knows? Whatever happens, happens. I might not see you until I do the top 10 Big 10 of the year. Whoa! So get excited for that around Christmas. But that's it. I'm done for now. Until next time.